And it's a serious mistake, a misrepresentation of Christianity to think that we can live in the future and deny the present. The best way to lose heaven is to forget to live here on earth. So you want to live here on earth, making the maximum impact. That is what Jesus calls us to bring his kingdom on earth. That's what we say, our Father who art in heaven, thy kingdom come. Yeah.
Hello guys, and welcome back to Youth Explore, where we talk about everything growth, peace, purpose, freedom, and everything that concerns us as youths. So if you're new here, welcome and subscribe so you can learn a lot and watch the previous videos, and I'm sure you're going to learn a lot from them. Also, if you're a returning subscriber, thank you for always appreciating my content, and I will always bring you content that will make us grow as youths and make us move forward. So today's episode is one interesting one. As you can see, I have a guest who I am very excited to host. Yeah, he is a priest and someone who I really respect for his intelligence. And today's episode is going to be about winning in all ways, on organizing your life in a way that you win in all ways. I have some questions that I'm going to ask Father, and we are going to learn a lot from him. But first, I'm going to ask him to introduce himself.
Hello guys, how are you? My name is Father Dr Kinoti Elias Kituri. I am a chaplain at Meru University and also work here. We are the parish, St. Rita's Parish in Chiru, which is in Meru, within the environs of the Meru University, or the Meru University is within the environs of the parish.
Yeah.
And that's where I met as a student.
Yeah. So you are familiar with how we can win as youths in all ways, and I've heard you preach about it, but I would like my subscribers and my followers to learn more. Yeah, so just as an introduction, the first question is there such a thing like living right, or is it, as we always say, go with and see how it...
Well, there is the challenge we have is when we talk about right, we immediately think in our mind of moral right. But that I don't want to believe that it's excluded. But living right means living who you are, where you are when opportunity is there. So a child is living right by living the life of a child. And a teenager is living right by living the life of a teenager. So is a young adult and old himself. And they're living according to who one is, what they expect them to be, and particularly being genuinely human. That's the most important, because at times we are taken away from being human and we want to behave like we are angels. We are not. Some may go the extreme way and behave like devils. We are not the devils. We're simply human. And being right is being human. And this is one of the things that's taken away from us when we have so many laws and regulations and expectations and requirement to be successful very quickly, and success is defined in such a small way, financial, then you are not living right. Because you have missed your skills, you have missed the joys of life.
Yeah, so you say when we are so strict and so restricted by the rules, we are kind of limited to how much we can achieve as humans.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, thank you. And the next question is, maybe tell us about now, how can we organize the seasons of our life, or just generally as youths? Now we are at that stage of being young, from the age group of a teenager to 30s, into your 30s. How can we organize our lives so that we take advantage of the resources we have?
Probably I look at the question in terms of what we call times, which are also seasons.
Yeah.
So I would like us to think about three types of times or time from a Greek perspective, and we have it full in the Gospels. It's also there in the Bible, and it's also present in the Quran. All books talk about times. Everyone talks about seasons, but what exactly is time? And I would like us to think about so that we can see how we can build our life in the context of the three meanings of time. The first one we know very well is when we hear time, we think of the chronos. The other one is called kairos, and there is the one called Hora, Hora. So we have the chronos, we have kairos, and we have the Hora time. What does chronos mean? It just means time that is measured in seconds, microseconds, seconds, minutes, into hours, into a day, into a week, into a month, a year, and decade into a century, millennium. That's purely chronos time. It is the time that is measured in that way. That's why even our watches are called chronometers. They help us measure that. And it's continuous. You can't reclaim the second that has just passed. So that time is okay, it's good, and it helps us to measure our own, to do our things according to what time we have. It's now morning, I wake up. It's afternoon, I'm supposed to eat lunch or go to class, that way. You don't see time. It's measured that way. The other one, so you have to live in those times. We are conditioned. Human beings have that part of us is living under time and space,
which we kind of don't have control of.
You don't have control of time. That's why you can't reclaim a second that just passed. Time exists on its own. The only being that does not live under time is God, because God created time, created space, and so he does not need time and space.
That's why he doesn't grow.
Yeah, he acts in them towards us in time. Like someone will say, when I was 40 years, that's when I became a Christian. I realized God, you can see God acts to us, with us, or experiences. We experience God in that time. The second type of time is kairos. Kairos is an opportune time. So it's no longer measured in minutes, seconds, or hours. It's an opportune time, or the most beneficial time when a person can make the most of his opportunity that is given. So that's an area that we want, that's how we want to live as young people. Kairos, every time is kairos. You have an opportune time. For example, if you are a child who decides, of course, most children will go to school because the parents will decide and society does. But let's say you get to high school and you become underhanded and you drop, you have lost opportunity time. You have lost kairos, opportune time, where you are supposed to be getting the best of opportunity as a high school student. Or you're in college and you decide probably college is taking too long, 4 years too long, 2 years diploma is too long, and you drop and get married. You have lost a part of your kairos, that opportune time, where the great opportunity is given to you to grow in school, to grow in college, or such. So that is kairos. That's what it's in the scriptures, kairos, opportune time. We have even opportune time to become Christians, to have values, to grow skills, opportune time. Or you are walking and you meet this person and you say, hi, how are you? And that person becomes a friend who will benefit you later. You have taken that time of opportunity to grow a friend. It's not necessarily a minute or hour. It's called kairos, opportune time. And at times, this is what young people don't take advantage of. That opportune time to grow your skills, to grow your capacities, to enjoy your youth, so that you see someone who is in 40s and 50s doing the things that they should have done when they were 20 or 13. It's because they lost that opportune time, the kairos, when they should have enjoyed those things and just been youth, and for many reasons. The other type of time is called Hora time, and Hora time is divinely appointed time. This is also important to really be aware of, that despite having chronos time and opportune time, God has his own appointed time. And I think this is where most of us as Christians and Muslims alike, and even non-believers, but people of goodwill, we forget that because we have no control of chronos, we have opportune time shows up, opportunities shows up, and if you are not keen to pass us, Also, God has his appointed time.
Yeah.
And when he acts to us, it will be in the context, of course, of normal time and a great opportunity. But if we are not alert, especially if we have not developed our minds and the heart to understand all these times are under the care and the planning of God, then God's appointed time can also pass me. That's why it's in John, in the Gospel of John, chapter 7, verse 1 to 2, 10 to 25 and 30, speaks about the appointed time. God appoints when to do this. When the appointed time came, Jesus was born of a virgin. When the appointed time came, Jesus lived among us. When the appointed time came, you are called to be that great leader. But you have to be attentive to God speaking to you in every moment, both in Chronos time, across your growing years, as well as the opportunities that society provides you. God speaks to you through those times. You and me have to be conscious of those three types of times or seasons, which are the core. The rest of the seasons of our growth fall in those two categories. There is time, age, 10 years, 50 years, 20 years. There are opportunities planted within that time. By the way, we will not be here forever. None of us is living this, getting out of this world alive. We will die. That Chronos time will end. The question is, before I die, have I taken the opportunity to grow myself through the other seasons I have? Did I have time to interact with God during his appointed time, the aura, so that I am able to know this is what God wants of me, this is what God has intended of me?
Okay. A question. You've talked about the divine time, the aura time, and I think there's one mistake that we as youths take, and we forget that we have to, like, all the three times, as you've said, work together, and sometimes we just let nature take its course and maybe wait for the noble time of God, but we may fail to recognize the things that are the time that we've been given at that moment, the opportunity. And so how can we really use the three times to our advantage now?
You mentioned something like peace and freedom.
Yeah.
So the God who has given us these three types of times, the chronological time, that of your years from birth all the way to when you die at 150 years, let's assume, and also the opportunities that are given both by society and by God, and then God acting to us at appointed time, like your mother and the father did their work to have you conceived, but they have no idea how this happens. It's your appointed time. So there is freedom. One of the best gifts we have life, and that life is exercised in freedom. And that freedom has to be properly understood. Freedom is not license to do anything. Freedom is to do the things that make me a better human being and also make others better human beings. So let's say I decide to use drugs and assume I am free. That's not freedom. You are destroying your very own freedom. Let's say you decide to become one goes out there and commit suicide, and they say you are free. That's not freedom. Freedom is always freer when it is related to God's appointed time and opportune time. I am freer because I am in high school and I'm doing the high school things. Makes me freer. You just try or look at your friend who was your classmate and has dropped. Utaona mkikutana naye kwa barabara hata anajificha. Anaibika. Why? It's because they know they have abused the freedom of where they are supposed to have been. For whatever reason, it may not necessarily be them, could be the parents are not able to pay. Probably they have gotten pregnant, or because, something may have happened. Or could also be they just decided not to be in school. They have misused the freedom. And you can see the conscience. So we are not created to just kufuata nature. Let nature take its course. We are natural, but we are much bigger than nature. Remember, when God creates us, he says, subdue the world. Not the world to subdue us. We are the most intelligent beings in the world. We can't allow nature to take the best of us. We take the advantage of being free, intelligent, and having ability to choose, to utilize chronos time, to utilize opportune time, kairos, so that then also in the ways appointed time of God works through us.
True. So you should take control over nature. Don't let nature control you. Yeah. So the other question is, how do we now use that time to make sure that we win in all ways? That is financially, spiritually, emotionally, and socially. Because I think one of the main challenges we have as youth is there is a group that doesn't believe in the next life, and there's another that think that they will live in the next life, so they don't live their best in this one. And a friend of mine had told me that sometimes we as Christians live so much in the future that we forget to live now. So I want us to now talk about how do we win in all those ways.
Yes, and it is a serious mistake, a misrepresentation of Christianity to think that we can live in the future and deny the present. The best way to lose heaven is to forget to live here on earth. So you want to live here on earth, making the maximum impact. That is what Jesus calls us to bring his kingdom on earth. That's what we say, our Father who art in heaven, thy kingdom come. It means that future which you are thinking about heaven, there should come here now. And it should come here by what we do. Those who are Christians, should be able to be the best inducers of virtue in the world. That's why even in Kenya, it's a big concern when we have 85% of us Christian, and Kenya is very corrupt. It means the greater number of religious men and women, people who go to church, are living heaven in the future, the good in future, but they are okay with corruption here. That's the best way to lose even that future. So the best to win in all ways is first to live both the reality of now, the world we have now, making it better, as we just have said, subdue the world with the virtues of the heavenly life, that our faith is there and we shall go there, but we shall not go there by denying what we are. You see a Christian who is so Christian, whether it's Christian, and they are not even eating well. We have the issue of shakahola, a serious problem, a misrepresentation of the kingdom of God, the Christianity, and heaven, that you starve yourself to death so that you can go to heaven. Most likely, you will miss both life here and the life there in heaven, because you have misused the now, the time of now. So we want to live at best in this world. This world has great blessings. Look at what people are able to do. Now we are speaking through the endangered world. These are things, you don't do these things in heaven. There is no internet in heaven. There is no danger to communication in heaven. This belongs to this now world. And the more you use it, the more happier you are. Of course, with the virtues of heaven. I want to remind those who are Christians, I want to remind you, when Jesus went with the three of his apostles on the mountain, John, James, and Peter, transfiguration, and his body was transfigured into this bright person and clothing. And then as they watched, Peter says, let us build the tents here, one for you, one for Elijah, and one for Moses. And Jesus said, let's go down. Don't tell one about this. Don't stop looking up. The same that happens when Jesus ascended into heaven. The disciples kept looking up, but an angel came and told them, just the way he has gone up, that's the way he will come down. What are those readings? What are those particular parts of the scripture telling us? Heaven is very beautiful, even when we imagine it and we pray about it. But we are not called to live in the imagination. Imagination is a beautiful gift. It helps us to see that which we don't have now. But we are not called to live only in the imagination. We must come down to earth, dirtify our hands by work. Take up the best responsibility, take the best opportunity for the things we must do now. Now, let me go to one of the other wins. That's the best to win is to look at both realities, of the reality of the world today and the reality of the world tomorrow, for those who are believers. And even for those who do not believe, there is still values that you live for. Those values must be beyond this world. If they are not, then they are not really very useful. There must be a value that's far over and above this passing world. So that one, how do you win in the relationships? First of all, people tend to think in a relationship in a very narrow way. People hear relationship and they think of a woman and a man. That's a very narrow part of relationship. You want to win in a relationship from the first time of your birth. You want to have good relationship with your parents, with your siblings, with your neighbors. So those relationship of you towards a parent, parent towards you, you towards your sibling, they are very important relationship. If you don't win there, you begin to lose. Let's say if you are fighting with your parent or you are fighting with your siblings, you begin to lose very early in the relationship.
Yeah.
And by the way, what happens at your family is exactly replicated in your adult life.
Yeah.
If you are fighting, you are in a family that is violent, in a family that is a drug addicted and alcoholics, most likely that's the pattern of life you have in your youth and in your future life. If you're a woman who is beat, if you're a young girl who has lived in a family or your father beats your mother, that is likely to repeat in your life. These are real data science results that are shown this type of character and relationship replicate. If you are in a family that is loving, kind, and respectful, these are things that will grow as a pattern in your life. So you want to win in your family relationship as a basis to win in the next level of relationship. As a youth, you will begin to interact with people in high school, to people in college and in the society. You will begin to have your friends. You will begin to think about building family. And if you have been winning at the family level, you will start to win there as well.
Yeah.
So then that relationship will be better, will be healthier.
Yeah.
And sooner from youth, you get married, you'll notice that you are able to replicate the wins you earned in the family, the wins you earned in your young, in your teenage, and the wins you earned as in your youth, in your own family. So this is what it's important is to win at that level of your youth from the family. Of course, as a child, you may not necessarily be in control of what you experience there, but it's something you can correct once you start to have some sense of something is not right. This is where you have your religious leaders, you have therapists, you have your teachers, and you have even government where you can go and say, I think this family, this whatever is going on here in my family is not right. My mother is beaten every day, or my father is beaten every day. I am living in a very alcoholic environment. What am I supposed to do? So that you have the right wins at that time. And these are also things you can commit your life to and say, I went through this, but I don't want anyone else to go through that.
Yeah.
I want to help young people and families to be able to come out of this type of difficulties so that they can win in a relationship.
Yeah, and it's a good thing that you've mentioned therapy because some people, as you've said, we might not have 100% control of what is happening in our families, but it doesn't really have to go further into your own family. You can realize that you have the power to change things. Yeah.
Sometimes you hear people talking about cars, and this is very common in Africa. Cars, you are a kasiwa, and the other one. Curses are the things you accept in your life that are not right as normal. So if you see violence and you accept it as normal, you interact with it and allow it to go on, people always see the father of this was very abusive to their wife. Then the son is behaving the same. The later children are behaving the same, and people say, walikasiwa. No, it's simply a behavior that you are accustomed into your life without intervention. There are interventions that allows you to break away from these difficulties. Drinking alcohol, multiple relationships, violence, suicide tendencies, self-hate. These are things we pick from childhood as we grow. And there are things we can cut off from ourselves and also cut off from our next generation by seeking the right help. That's another place where Christianity and the religion becomes sometimes very important to cut off from that with all the other helps. But this is where we are getting false prophets. who come up with a claim you have been cursed, you need to kutoa hii na hii so that ubarikiwe, so you ufanyiwe nini, and then we are all lost in dying in the same problem, in the cycle problem, as people steal from us in the name of being prophets.
Yeah.
There's a religious component, but it has also a personal responsibility, getting help, talking about it, even dedicating your education to it. I saw my father beat my mother. I want to do courses that relate with family so that I can help families.
Yeah,
I'm a medical doctor who is going to deal with also family health issues, a nurse, probably a priest, a pastor, or a social worker, community health worker, who can commit to those things that you might have seen at your relationship, younger relationship, and be able to stop it and help other communities. The second thing I would like to talk about relationship, especially for young people who are now tending to have close relationship, which is romantic, is how long do I need to have a relationship in order to know this is a person probably or marry or not? It's not a matter of time. It's a matter of effort. So there are people who can do what we call courtship for 10 years and it never works. The others who do it for 3 months and it is perfect. What is the difference? You see, we talked about time. But in this case, time is not most of essence. What is of essence is effort to know the other person. Is the questions you ask about this person. And the other person asks you. It's about talking daily. And it's not just talking about what you saw on Twitter, on Facebook, and Instagram.
Yeah.
It's what the deep questions about this person's life plan.
Yeah.
The deep questions about this person's family experience. The deep questions about the values of this person.
How that person is.
It's like, yes, those things. It's well communicating well. It is spending time together. So this time is time you are spending together, but the value is not the time. It's the two of you that are getting deep into each other.
Yeah.
So going to different things. So that way, your relationship is supposed, you get to know each other very well. So this is where we have a problem in the romantic relationship people have. It's because they spend time together, but they are not doing the right thing. They are not asking the right questions.
Yeah.
They are not talking. They are not putting the effort to expose the self to the other and the other to the other person. You can take 100 years together, but without exploring into the deeper of the heart and mind and the plans, it's just spend time together. It does not add value to the relationship. So that is an important part.
I have a theory. I have personally tested and seen like it works. Before we talk now about knowing each other, I had someone saying that sometimes people go to the altar and say I do without first knowing who is that saying I.
Yeah.
So before we now get to the relationship, I think the first most important thing is to get to know yourself and what you want from a person, so that as you search, you also know what you're searching for. Because there are people who are different in so many ways, but now you have to know your person.
Yeah. All people are very different and unique, very unique. Then God does not create masses, He creates specific, special individuals. And unless that person is willing to tell you who they are, to expose the self to you, that is, relationship requires serious vulnerability, where you can say who you are, so that you are loved for your strength and for your weakness. Then the person can be able to live with you in your strength and in your weakness.
Yeah.
The problem with our modern dating process, we are dating strength, not human beings. We are dating the rich person, educated person. We are dating titles. We are dating families. This person comes from a very big family, very famous family. You are not in a relationship. You are in a business. You're in the marketplace. And you better call it that way. Relationship is getting to know the person. And also allowing yourself to be known. We hide. People hide until they go to the altar and say, I do. And then in 1 week, they are killing each other. It's because
Yeah.
They were not dating each other. They were just dating a name. They were looking for a title. They were looking for someone who is rich and has education, and all those are not persons. Human being is both strength and weak, which we must be vulnerable to expose to the other person and the other person to me. Then we can be able to love each other that way.
Yeah.
That doesn't require very many years. It requires honesty and genuineness and openness, properly evaluating ourselves to each other and the other to me.
Okay, I have another question on relationships before we continue. So now, when we are young kids, we are always told to not be in relationships. We are told like that is a mistake. But at what point now should we start getting into the relationships? We are never told now you can start being in.
See, that's the challenge. That's the problem. It's because we forget children are already in relationship with their male parents, with their brothers and sisters. The children are in relationship with their classmate. A child will come and tell you, my classmate, my friend, she's my friend. And we want to put and dot thoughts on child's relationship. It's because we are fixated on the romantic relationship of teenagers and young people and adults. We forget that relationship only works if people have grown in a relationship and it's only one of the many relationships.
Yeah.
You will see two children, a boy and a girl, walking and talking, holding hands, and we and dot will put and dot things into it.
Yeah.
And so we problematize relationship.
We even introduce them to what they are not.
Yes, what they are not. And that they are just simply children.
Yeah.
So there is no time to enter into relationship. Relationship is the normal way of living of human beings. That's the way we live.
Okay.
Your child needs to have you as a friend, your siblings as a friend, neighbors as a friends, classmates as a friends, the church mates as friends. So that then as the child grows, we will essentially come to that level of the romantic relationship where it is, and they are able to handle it well. Rather than leaving it as a compartment or department that you do when you are done with the college. That's the way we think about it. We put it out there. Don't do this now, you'll do it when you're done. No, relationship are normal way of living. There are elements of a relationship that belong at a certain level, like the things that happen at marriage aren't good happening at a high school. You see?
True.
But that doesn't mean a high school student or a college student do not have relationship. We are only putting few things out from there. And by the way, this is what problematizes relationship is because we narrow it to sexual things and we forget we are social beings.
Yeah, true.
We have to be social throughout. We don't need to wait. So it's okay. So it's important for us to live relationship as a normal way of life. And when it's time for the romantic marriage relationship, we will just flow into it normally.
Yeah.
After we have chosen who the person wants and normalized it as a normal way of life.
Yeah.
So
now we can move to the other.
The other areas of winning is also, the second one is building yourself. So relationship, we are born from a context of a relationship and will grow throughout our life. The other one is building ourselves. You can't win unless you spend time building yourself, and this is building your capacity, building your skills, building your values. So we need to build that part. We seem to think that, now I need a job. What are my values? What are my skills? Oh, I need this degree. But we don't seem to win from the very start that I want to build my skills to be this type of a person in my life as a part of winning. Without skills, that's why we talk about illiterate and illiterate person. We talk about competent and incompetent person is because someone didn't win on the parts of building their capacity, their own skills. We will go to school and we will only do very minimum. We can't read outside our degree or our certificate. You can't, you are at home, you never read any book. The best you can do is look at the latest Twitter, the latest Facebook post. But they are even on Facebook, by the way, there are very nice books that are posted there every day in a summary. And you can read, there are some are even just put in a very small summary of 10 points. These are ways you can build to win. So you want to win that way by expanding your capacity, by expanding your skills, competencies, things you know, by looking at the things, difficult things. What are the modern, what is technology doing in healthcare, even though you're in management? What is technology doing in this and the other? So that's important, building on that. The other area to win is also a financial area with material growth, material self growth. And that's where this is the place where we all think this is the only place I need to win. I just need to get good money and that will be okay. That's what we think. We just want to be okay. We will be okay. But we also have a very misrepresented understanding of success. It's financial. But this is the way I think about it. Our growth in that area requires 3 areas. One, we need to grow. Growth is when you have 500 shillings, you invest it and you get 200. You have grown it. That's what is called growth, especially in business area. The second area is progress. Progress is growth, growing, let's say, a business from 10,000 to 15 in 1 year or few such. But progress includes growth, ethics, honesty, and integrity. What is integrity? Is undivided. So you are growing yourself and you are undivided. You are integral. What you say, who you are, what you do, the way you think is holistic. You are not a different person. This is very problematic in Kenya. That's why we have corruption. We have all of us going to church every day, to mosques every other Friday, and to other worship places even a whole week. But Monday to Saturday, what do we do? We siphon the public funds for our private use. And this is a Christian. Lack of integrity. This person is sick, is divided. What they profess or what I profess is not what I live. So Kenya is seriously pathological when you come to this area of integrity.
So we can say people have money, but they are not successful.
Yes, it's not success. That's just, when you make money, it's progress. It's growth. When you make money and wealth with the values of ethics and honesty, that is progress. If you make growth without ethics, you have just grown, and sometimes you are stealing to do that. So you have not even grown anything, you have just stolen. That's what it is. You want to grow your wealth properly with ethics, with the honesty and integrity. And then we are finally success. What we use this one, success over and over. Success is when you bring in humanity, morality, and spirituality. So you have growth, you have progress, and then it becomes a success. Because you bring humanity, what you do, you are thinking about other humans. So we have spoken about winning in your relationship, 1, 2, in self-capacity building through education and learning things over and above what you do in school. The second area is building ourselves, as especially young people and once adults, begin to build your own resources for running your own family and affairs, which we always think about having some form of wealth. And we have said you want to think about growth, increasing the little you have to a little more, but you want to do that with ethics and integrity and honesty, so that the growth it adds values. And then we want to include humanity, morality, and spirituality, which becomes now success. Success as growth part, progress part, and the spiritual human morality part. If any of those is missing, we are missing a big part. What are some of the sources of how we can grow spirituality? Not everybody is religious, but spirituality can be a faith-based spirituality, which is of course based on most religions. The other one, there is a metaphysical spirituality, connecting with the material or with the things of that are not material. You can do that. We have a heart-based spirituality. There are people who are not religious, but they spend good time meditating and thinking about the values. This is not to say the religion, and especially Christian religion, is over and above most of other spirituality, because God has revealed to us how God is like. Jesus Christ is the perfect religion. So he can really give us a very important way of having a spirituality. And then a fifth one is a mind-based spirituality, using meditation as a gateway to the divine. So you can use the material, you can use the metaphysical, beyond the physical, you can use your heart, and you can use your mind as a way of developing a spirituality towards the divine. There are people who are very committed even to health with the issues of climate change, and they are very spiritual.
Environment.
Yes. So very connected. Think about Wangari Maathai. She was a very spiritual woman because she was connected to the earth. That's another way. And all of them guide to the divine. We will all meet at the same seat of Christ. So Christians Christianity is the best of the religions, but it's not the only way to meet Christ. Christ is bigger than that. He has given a wonderful religion himself. It's not the system. It is himself who is the religion. The system is a means to meet him. But the other means through which we meet the same Christ, metaphysical means, we meet the divine. The mind means where people reflect and join to get to the divine. The heart way or the heart way, you go through the heart way, you meditate through the heart, and we shall all meet at the same seat called Christ.
So there is a difference between religion and spirituality.
Yeah, very big difference. Yes, there is a big difference.
So we've really learned a lot, and because of time, I know you're a busy person. Being a priest is not a ride in the park. We can sit the whole day. So I really am grateful for your time. And we've learned a lot. I hope you're going to implement and learn a lot from this video, and I'll see you in the next video. See you and take care.
Okay.
Take care of yourself.
God bless you all. Thank you.